Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Today's topic is emotional health for the holidays. Before we get started, just a couple of items to take care of. We will have time for questions at the end of the presentation, and you can type those into the question box in the lower portion of your control panel. We will be posting a recording of the webinar on our blog. The link for that will be shown at the end as well. And if you'd like a PDF copy of the presentation, there will be a link to download that on that same post as the recording. If your question does not get answered today, please email our support inbox, which will be shown at the end as well. Okay, so for today, we're going to talk about some typical stressors that occur this time of year. And then we're going to discuss ways to combat that stress and how to hopefully keep that emotional health at a better level this year. A stat to start today comes from the American Psychological Association. 69% of Americans are stressed by perceiving a lack of money, and 51% are stressed by the pressure to give or get gifts. Think we need to do something to help ourselves out this time of year? Absolutely, right? So let's get started on some things to help. So building on that last stat, let's talk about some typical stressors that we run across this time of year. First, family. Maybe you've lost a loved one and are thinking of them more this time of year. Maybe you aren't in contact with a loved one and it's causing you some stress as well. Maybe you don't get along with some of the family, but you'll need to be around them for the holidays. Whatever the situation, family can take a big toll on our emotional health. Another common stressor this time of year is on the financial side. Maybe you overdid Black Friday a little bit last week. Maybe you're simply struggling to pay the bills in general, which makes it even harder this time of year. There's also the travel that can be involved if you have family or friends that aren't close. Or if you're hosting the holidays, all the prep that's involved there can cost a lot as well. Whatever the reason, money can be a big headache, literally and figuratively, this time of year. Time, that's the next big stressor we have. There are parties, volunteer opportunities, shopping trips, kids' concerts, travel time to visit family and friends, and you still have to work on top of everything, right? Time, or lack of time, or perceived lack of time, is something that can sneak up on us and cause a lot of emotional stress if we feel that we just don't have that time to get everything done, right? And then we have the physical side of things as well. Seasonal affective disorder is real, and it can be very tough. If you aren't familiar, it's a type of depression that is related to the time of the year. I'm going to talk more on this a little bit at the end of the webinar, but just know that this is something, too, to be mindful of, and it can have a major impact on our emotional health. Now, I know there are plenty of other stressors out there that you may be dealing with other than these as well, but these are some of the most common things that pop up. But know that the tips today can help no matter what you have on your plate this year. Okay, so what can we do to help deal with all the different things that are thrown at us during this time of year? Let's start with family stress. Like I said, some of our emotional stress can be that you have lost a loved one or that you aren't in touch with someone anymore for whatever reason, and you're thinking of them during this time. It doesn't have to be a family member either. Friends can leave just as big of a hole in our lives. Most of us have probably lost someone in some way that we think about during this season. This can lead to feelings of loneliness and can lead to depression in some cases. Whatever the reason, some of us or our families or friends are struggling. The first tip I have for this kind of stress is just acknowledge that it's there. If you've lost someone important to you, the holidays won't be the same. There's no getting around that, right? But sometimes I think we expect it to be the same, or we really, really want it to be the same, even though deep down we know it won't be. So take some time to think about this, acknowledge that there will be some changes. You can also use this time to think about some possible new traditions that will help you move forward and create those positive emotions again with this time of year. And part of that new tradition can still include honoring that person you lost, so don't worry about that. And keep in mind that some people, if they haven't been through it themselves, they may not understand how you can be sad or mad or whatever because it's the holidays. We should all be happy and festive, right? No. There's no right way to feel when we are dealing with emotional stress. Don't expect everyone to understand what you're feeling. Don't try to ignore any symptoms that you're feeling just because you, quote, aren't supposed to feel that way right now. And then, if you realize you've got some emotional stress, please reach out. Talk to someone you trust, a friend, a family member, a doctor, a therapist, whomever you trust to talk seriously about your feelings. If you feel like it's getting to a more serious level like depression, call your doctor and they can recommend a therapist. Your work may also have an employee assistance program that can recommend a professional to talk to, and it's all anonymous. Whatever you do, please don't do nothing because you deserve to have a happy holiday season just like everyone else. And getting help with emotional stress can help you do that for sure. Okay. How about if you simply just don't get along with your family, but you're going to be under the same roof for a period of time? This can be kind of a joking thing, but it's also a serious problem for a lot of families. Couple strategies to try. First, simply, if you can, just call a truce for the time you're together. You don't have to pretend you're best friends, but you can be civil to each other. If not for you, for the sake of the rest of the family, as they want to be around both of you, right? If you know there are topics that could polarize the family during the holidays, then please try to avoid those topics. There are lots of other things to talk about than the thing that will cause arguments. So be an adult, stick to those other things. And then if something does arise, maybe stemming from another person and not you necessarily, that's looking like it may turn ugly, try to get out of the situation. Get out of it just for the moment. Come back when things calm down. Now, I know these things are easier said than done, but if your goal is to truly avoid emotional stress for yourself and also for the rest of the people you're with, give it a shot. Couple things to look at here for those situations. Okay, moving on to the financial stress we tend to feel this time of year. We love to buy gifts for our loved ones, right? Who doesn't? Absolutely. But we also need to think big picture. Getting a handle on this starts with communication. Sit down with your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your mom, dad, whomever you make financial decisions with, and decide what you will do this year as far as spending. Set expectations of what is realistic for you to do for gifts specifically. Make a budget and agree on that budget. Don't bully the other person into agreeing on how much you spend. Truly listen to all the opinions and come to a consensus of how much you should be spending. Again, I know it's fun to go crazy with gifts, but if you're going to end up putting stress on your finances and in turn your mental health or your relationships, is it really worth it? So be realistic and set an amount. And I know some of you may have already started spending or maybe done with your shopping. If so, congratulations. I'm very jealous of you. But use these tips for the remaining gifts you have or use it for next year. Another tip to think about is sales. This time of year, there are sales and deals everywhere. Now, this comes with the caveat, though. Just be mindful that it's actually a true deal and not just a gimmick to make you spend more, right? As I've heard in my house, we can't afford not to buy this, right? That's not the right attitude, by the way. But like I said, there can be some great deals, but just make sure that you're aware of what you're spending in general, because even though you have great deals on something, the money's still going to add up, right? And then also think about making your gifts. What mom or dad, grandma, grandpa, any relative doesn't love a great do it yourself? Either if you've got kids, do it yourself ornament or handprint snowman or something like that, right? Head to Pinterest or any search engine and enter do it yourself gifts, and the world is at your fingertips. But seriously, with this too, there are amazing gifts that cost a fraction of the cost of those mass produced things out there that your friends and family will love much more, knowing that you spent some quality time and effort into making it. So again, budget, look for sales, and get your creative hat on when it comes to gifts. How about travel? That's another expense that we have with the holidays. If you're lucky enough to live close to those that you love, that's fantastic. But if you're traveling, it can get spendy. Budgeting ahead of time is key, but if it's a last minute trip, there are still ways to save. Here's one: bring your own food. If you have a day long trip, make up some sandwiches and snacks yourself. Gas is unavoidable, as we know, but you can save a bit by not spending more inside that gas station. Same if you're flying. Bring snacks to eat while you wait at the airport so you don't get sucked into those $17 bags of mixed nuts, right? Now, what if you're hosting for the holidays? It's so easy to get carried away with decorations, extra food, all of those good things. So, again, a good tip is to give yourself a budget in this area as well. If you want to spend $40 on garland for your stairs, then maybe don't buy that antique menorah and use the one that you already have. It's all about balance. Not that you can't do things, but you just need to be mindful of how much you're actually spending and whether you can afford it or not. Another great way to help out is making that get together a potluck. A lot of you might do this already, but if not, this is a great way to help spread out the cost and get others involved in the festivities too. Most of the people you spend time with aren't worried about having a fancy time. They just want time with you. So enjoy the moment. That's what you'll remember. That's what they'll remember, not if you had the right place settings or the fancy garland or not, right? Now, I know I'm saying budget a lot, but honestly, if you plan ahead and prepare as much as you can spare yourself a lot of emotional stress with budget. And now keep in mind, budgeting not only works for this time of year, but it works for any time of the year as well. So if you start paying attention to your spending in January, you might find that you don't have those same financial worries next holiday season, right? It's all about planning ahead. Prevention. Okay, next stressor, time. As you already know, this month can be absolutely chaotic with all the activities, travel, and other demands. So take some time today, if you can, or sometime this week, to map out the rest of your month. Map out what parties you have, what meetings you have, what travel you have. If you have a clear understanding of what time you have and what time you don't have, you could be more realistic with yourself when it comes to other things that pop up. Now, once you know your schedule, then make a to-do list. Put those top priority items on top and then pencil in when you have time to work on them. Don't forget about exercise, time for yourself, relaxing. We'll talk about some self-care things here in a minute, but don't forget about that. I hear every day that people just don't have time to do things this month. So I don't care if it's 5 minutes, but I challenge you to find time to sit and reflect on what you're grateful for, do some deep breathing, do a quick set of lunges through the kitchen. Now I want you to actually physically write down the word relax or exercise on your schedule and pretend that your doctor or your boss or whomever scheduled it for you. You have to make yourself a priority or the stress is going to overwhelm you this month. On this note, and this might not be what you want to hear, but you know that you need to hear it, it's okay to say no. You don't have to attend every holiday party. You don't have to bake 18 dozen cookies for the bake sale going on. I know we all want to help out, and that's fantastic, and you should, but you have to know your limits as well when it comes to helping out and volunteering. Again, I want you to, but know your limits. Make 2 dozen cookies instead of 18. Pick one work party instead of going to all 3. Pick one volunteer activity instead of 3. One of the best things out there is that when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So when you're saying yes to staying out late at a party, you're saying no to quality sleep. When you say yes to baking 18 dozen cookies, you're saying no to relaxing and playing with your kids or your pets. Think about those things when you get caught up in saying yes to everything. So make a to-do list, check it twice, and stick to the priorities and schedule you set for yourself as best as you can. I know things are going to pop up, but if you're prepared and know your schedule overall, you're going to be able to overcome anything that this month can throw your way. All right, let's change gears just a bit and talk about things that you can do to help deal with or even prevent, in some cases, some of that emotional stress. Practice healthy habits. Now, realistically, we know this time of year isn't going to be perfect. I totally get that. But you also need to know that practicing healthy habits is going to keep you healthier mentally and physically. So, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, make sure you're scheduling time for yourself, and that includes exercise. Again, it doesn't have to be a crazy amount to benefit that mental health. Even if it's a 10-minute walk after dinner or still during the day at lunch or something at work, do it. Don't think that that small amount of time isn't going to work. No matter how small you think it is, it helps. I promise, promise, promise you. We release feel-good hormones when we exercise. How better to help combat emotional stress than some of our own homemade stress relievers, right? So again, 5 or 10 minutes, that's all you need to get that emotional stress reliever going. And then when it comes to eating, again, I know there are more temptations around you this time of year, but that doesn't mean you have to throw away all your good habits too, right? Drinking water is a small consistency that can make a huge difference in your mood, your intake of food, and that emotional state overall. Honestly, water is the magic pill that we're always looking for. It helps with so much, and we don't typically drink enough of it. You should aim for half your body weight in ounces, but if you're not close to that right now, then just look to increase when and where you can. Start tracking it and see where you can improve. Drink a little bit when you wake up, have a reusable water bottle handy throughout the day so you can just passively sip on it. Drinking a nice glass of water before your meals can help curb your appetite as well. You can also make a rule that you take a drink of water between each bite of food during meals, which will keep you hydrated and give your stomach time to signal your brain that you're full. On that same note, watch the alcohol intake as well. Alcohol not only adds unnecessary sugars, carbs, and calories to our nutrition, it also lowers those inhibitions when it comes to food, right? And it can also bring about unnecessary drama in some of us. You know who you are. And if we're looking to prevent emotional stress this time of year, that's a really, really easy way to help prevent some of that. So you can save yourself a headache, an argument, and a stomach ache just by being mindful of that alcohol as well. So really keep that in mind. You should be able to enjoy the holidays without the alcohol. And then if you're not sure there will be a healthy food option at the get together you're going to, you bring it. Then you know that you'll have one thing that you can have along with a reasonable amount of maybe some of those not so good things. Remember, sugar causes our blood sugar to spike and then we crash, causing issues physically but also mentally with mood swings, which doesn't help that emotional health, right? And speaking of those not so good things, another way to help limit the damage this month is to watch the portions overall. You don't have to feel miserable physically to enjoy the holidays, so let's try a different mindset this year, specifically when it comes to food. If you only get Grandma's pecan pie once a year, then by all means have it. But don't have 3 slices. Try to stick to one. And eat it slowly so you can savor that wonderful taste as well as the memories it brings. You get the positive emotions, but you can avoid the negative ones that you would get if you overload yourself with that sugar or processed carbohydrates we just talked about that come with that crash in blood sugar and in turn our mood, right? Next healthy habit, really not to forget about, is sleep. Now, again, we talked about time, we talked about schedule, we talked about travel. I know things are busy and you have so many things going on, but make it a goal to get home at a reasonable hour if at all possible. I know sometimes it's not, but when you can, get it home and get some sleep. Sleep deprivation hinders our ability to deal with stress, which then sets a negative tone for the day. So try to get 7 to 9 hours if you can, and do what you can to give yourself that opportunity for some quality shut eye. Again, when it comes to emotional health, sleep sets that tone for the day on how we deal with it. So really make sleep a priority. Next healthy habit, which can help us sleep actually too, is to put that phone down, especially before bed, as those blue lights from phones and then computers and TVs as well can mess with our sleep hormones. But also, giving our overstimulated minds a break from constant scrolling on top of everything else we have to deal with can help our mental health tremendously. Let your mind be still and in the moment throughout this month. If you've ever meditated or done deep breathing techniques, you know that simply stopping and being with your thoughts rather than letting technology think for you can be an extremely stress relieving activity. Just like setting a budget for your spending, budget your time on technology as much as you can. You may find that you have lots more time for other healthy habits like exercise and sleep. Okay, let's talk specifically about some stress management plans to make this month help with that emotional health. A few techniques that we touched on a little bit, but that I want you to take special note of as things to put in your stress management toolbox. First is figure out where you can go during a stressful moment. I apologize, I have a little tickle in my throat. But have a getaway plan, if you will, for work, home, parties, anywhere you have stressful moments. This can be as simple as excusing yourself to go to the restroom, taking some deep breaths, like I'm trying to right now, or it can be saying that you need to go grab something in your car or make a quick phone call and sitting and listening to some music or a meditation for a few minutes. Some other stress relieving activities involve taking time for you that I've mentioned a couple times already. Again, I know this isn't easy, but even if it's a few minutes to read a favorite book, listen to some music, exercise, journal, specifically a gratefulness journal where you purposely focus on things you're grateful for daily, or even going as far as scheduling yourself a massage. I know it's crazy to think that you could maybe take an hour for yourself for that, right? But seriously, look ahead at your schedule, see what you can do for self-care. You may have heard it before, but if you don't take care of yourself, you won't be able to take care of others, right? Now, I said at the beginning I wanted to touch on seasonal affective disorder a bit, so let's do that quickly. Typically, it's during the winter months when we're not getting out and getting vitamin D from the sun. Some of the symptoms include feeling depressed nearly every day, losing interest in activities you enjoy, low energy, sleep problems, change in appetite, difficulty concentrating. Now, these symptoms can be part of our normal lives, but if you're feeling these symptoms for days at a time and it doesn't seem to be getting better, it's time to see a doctor. Once you chat with doctor, you can talk about how to help. Light therapy is a pretty cool option. Basically, there are special lights out there that mimic the outdoor light. It can actually cause a change in brain chemicals linked to mood. If you're interested in this, keep that in mind, but also keep in mind that there are different types out there. So have a chat with your doctor first to make sure you're getting what you need as far as the actual light and what it's emitting. Because you can find things on Amazon, but we need to make sure that it's the right thing. Talk therapy is also a common treatment for SAD or seasonal affective disorder. This is exactly how it sounds. You talk about your thoughts and come up with strategies to help cope with your symptoms. There are also many mind body techniques as well, like yoga, Tai Chi, meditation, guided imagery, music, or art therapy. Medication may be an option as well if you and your doctor agree. But just keep an open mind and you'll find what can help you throughout this tough time, hopefully. Now, sometimes you can't prevent seasonal affective disorder, but getting outside, making your inside of your house brighter with as much natural light as you can, and exercising regularly are great things that may help ease those symptoms or, again, can possibly help prevent this as well. No matter what, if you feel like you may be dealing with this, the first step is to get help, and then you can start to feel better and enjoy those holidays as much as possible. A few final thoughts to keep in mind when you're thinking about self-care and stress management this time of year. First, try not to compare. I believe Mark Twain said, comparison is the death of joy. How true is that, right? This can be comparing to other holidays in past years. It can be to that seemingly perfect holiday that your Facebook or Instagram friends or strangers, for that matter, are having, which, by the way, is probably not totally accurate. Please know that. This year, focus on where you are, who you're with, and enjoying the company of those around you. And if you're flying solo this year, if it's just you, then enjoy that quiet time to reflect on the positive things from this past year and the positive things you're striving towards in 2020. Second, and this goes a long way with comparing, but set realistic expectations. I already talked about the fact that this holiday may be different due to various reasons, right? And even if you don't have any changes this year, still try not to build things up in your head too much. When we picture what we think the holiday should be, we often lose great moments that are happening around us. So be in the moment, enjoy whatever comes your way, and some of those unexpected moments make for the best stories next year, right? So if you drop that dessert on the floor or the cat knocks over the tree, try not to stress because I guarantee you'll be laughing about it next year. All right, third and final thought for the day, and it's actually a question. What is in my control? You can't control the weather. You can't control how your relatives or your friends behave, or many other aspects of the holidays for that matter, but you can control how you react. I know it's not easy, but take some of the tools we have talked about, deep breathing, taking a minute for yourself, and find your own list of stress relievers to help keep your emotions as even as you can. If we can take a second and prevent an emotional reaction in the moment, you can prevent long-lasting emotional stress that can come with that reaction, right? The holidays are what we make them, and with some practice, we can truly make it the most wonderful time of the year. All right, guys, that's it for me today. Upcoming webinars coming up January, time management, perfect time, right? We're setting all those goals. Let's talk about time management and stress specifically, we'll touch on. And then February, exercise, the best medicine. Truly, that best medicine is exercise majority of the time. And then if you do have lifestyle rewards, here's some questions that you can answer. Again, if your company has lifestyle rewards, you'll see that on your My Health Check account when you sign in. If they don't, then you'll just be able to submit watching the webinar today, so you won't have to do any extra steps. But in case you do, here are the questions. And again, these will be on the PDF slides on the blog post after when I post those either this afternoon or tomorrow, so you'll have those. And then here's our contact information. We are on social media. You can watch the past webinars on the blog. Like I said, you can watch all of our webinars. You can sign up for webinars coming up on the blog. And then if you want to chat further, give us a call or shoot us an email. We'd love to set up a time to chat about anything that you have going on, whether it's emotional stress, whether you've got some goals that you want to set. We really, really love when people call in and chat or shoot us an email. So please feel free to do that as well.